This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so what we do is today we'll talk about a scenario first, and then we will be talking about the codes or the content which we have for today. So the first thing what we are going to do is we are going to talk about a scenario. So we will say, let me say you are a programmer. So what you do is you write a code. That particular code can be in any programming language. It can be a PHP language, it can be Python, it can be Java, it can be .NET. But in short, I will say these all languages are HLL or high level languages. Give me 1 second. Okay, now whatever I am writing or whatever coding I'm doing in a high level language which is human readable. But whatever my laptop or my server will understand is a machine level or machine language. Okay, I will say this is byte code. Byte code. This is my source code. So in between, I need someone who can compile the code or convert the human readable code into a machine readable format. And we say this is artifact or executable. The options can be .exe, .jar, .var. So these are the extensions which I am going to get once I compile my code. Now, when I am working as a programmer, I have one program in my domain, and I am working with that one piece of program. But as and when you're working as a CI engineer, you will see that you will have like hundreds and hundreds of programs which has to be compiled, which has to be built every second day or every day. So for me, it will be very difficult to go and grab all these jobs, then their dependencies, and then compile the code, because there is a possibility that one of the programmer may have used Java 8, the other may have used Java 11. This may have some dependency, this may not have those dependency. So different programmers, they write their code in different local environment can be entirely different from the one another. So from machine to machine, it may vary. I can't say that, okay, fine, take this, do this. So what I will try to do is I will try to bring a build automation tool into picture. Now this build automation tool will pick the code and it will compile the code for me. And then once these artifacts are available, it will go and put it in the desired location. So Maven is such kind of a tool which we are going to know today. Maven. Do I have other tools like this? Yeah, you have Ant, you have Nant, you have Gradle. So there are many tools like this, but out of these, Maven is the one which is most widely used and is very popular. So let me just go a little bit in detail about this tool called Maven, which is nothing but a build automation tool for me, and it can do a lot of things. Does Maven build .NET codes? Yeah. So just give me a minute. I'll show you. 1 second. Push it here. Boom, here. Come here. See Maven. So if you say Maven, it says Maven is a build automation tool which is used for Java projects majorly, but it can be used for C#, Ruby, Scala, and other programming languages. When you say other programming languages, Python, .NET can be integrated and can be used with Maven. Okay, so there has to be certain dependencies which has to be downloaded, and then you can start using it. So I'll also be using Maven. Now, when it comes to Maven, okay, I want to get started with Maven. So I will say Maven in 5 minutes. I just want to quickly start Maven in 5 minutes. So this is a small project which Maven is going to give me, And it says you need to understand how do you install this software and how does this software works. So to make Maven work, it should have Java pre-installed. If Java is not installed, now let me come to my AWS environment and let me go to my Mumbai region, and I'll go to my EC2, the Jenkins instance which we had used yesterday. So I can see here, one second, I can just drop this instance, terminate. So I have this Jenkins master, which I'm going to spin it up. So I'm going to start it. So if you remember, in this machine, I had already installed Java, okay? Because I told that my Jenkins need Java, so I will install Java and I will work on that. So this is pending, means it is coming up. We'll wait for a minute or two for this instance to come up. And once this instance is up, I'll get a public IP address. I'll wait for that public IP address. Meanwhile, I will come here. Yeah, I got the public IP address. Take this. And DevOps Mumbai is what it is using. So let me come here. Say EC2 minus user at the rate this thing. I will say appearance. I'm going to change the font size. I'm going to SSH, auth, browse, and this is the key what I have. Let's log in. Yeah, I do accept. Now let me become a root user and just give me a name like host name Jenkins sudo su hyphen. Okay, so this is done. Now it says if you want to check if Maven is installed or not, you should come here and say mvn -- version. So I know Maven is not installed. So if I come here and say Maven -- version, it will not show me anything. But is Java installed? So I'll say Java minus version. So I can see Java is installed. So now I can go ahead and install Maven. I can say yum install Maven -y, means you have my consent. Go ahead and install Maven for me. Now what it will do is it will install all the Maven and Maven related dependencies for me. Okay. So now if once the Maven is installed, I come here and say mvn -- version, I will get these things. This is Apache Maven owned by Red Hat. This is Maven Home where Maven is installed. This is Java version. This is Java Home, and you're using a Linux operating system. So these are the details which it is giving me. What I will do is I'll need few of these details. So I'll copy this and I'll keep it here. So primarily I need Java home path and Maven home path. So I need these two details. So I'll keep it with me and later I'll use it. Done. Let's clear everything. Now, when I say Maven, okay, the first thing is done, Maven version. Then here I can come and say, I want to create a project in Maven. Okay. So if you have any hands-on experience with Java, you will see that Maven has its own folder structure. Okay. So this folder structure can be generated by running this command. First, let me show how does the folder structure looks like. So if you see a typical Java program, there will be a folder name, and inside that folder there will be something called pom.xml. Now pom.xml is something which is going to take care of my dependencies, what artifacts I need, artifact ID, what version of the softwares I'm going to integrate. So all the dependencies, repositories, and all those things will be contained in my pom.xml. Then I will have source folder, inside which I will have two folders. One is the main folder and the other one is the test folder. So in the test folder, you are basically going to write your test cases, because Maven can do test, or Maven can do testing also for me. It can run the automated test cases for me. So I'll put apptest.java, and there I'm going to put my test cases. And in source, all the way, if you come down here, you get something called app.java, which is nothing but your Java program. Whatever program you want to write, it is present here. So if I read through this, it says the Pom or Pom.xml is the core of the project configuration. So it's basically a configuration file, a single configuration file that contains majority of the information required to build the project. What information you need, like your dependencies, your other stuffs. So you can see here, it talks about the artifact ID which will be generated, the properties of this, the dependencies, and all other details like this will be stored here. Okay. In future, let me say I want to add a new software here. So I will let me say I want to add Selenium here. So I will do like this, Selenium Maven dependency like this. So you can come here, you'll get a small piece of code. Let me say I'm looking at 4.0.0 alpha 6. I click on this and I'll get a small piece of code for Maven. So this is for Maven pom.xml. Just copy this and integrate it here, or just here I cannot edit, but you can put your cursor here and you can add that dependency. So basically when you are integrating more and more stuffs here, you will be going ahead and putting all these things here in this pom.xml. So pom.xml is a configuration file which will talk about the dependencies, which will talk about the properties, which will talk about the required artifacts which are needed. Okay. Then I came to know that there is a folder structure which will be looking like this, and this is a standard project folder structure. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this folder structure. So if I want to create this folder structure, I have to run this command. So if I see this command carefully, it says mvn archetype generate, means it is a new project which I'm going to create. So you generate this folder structure for me. There is something called d group id. If you see carefully, it is com.mycompany.app. It is nothing but it is my class, the Java class. So if you see here, com my company app, so this is the class or the Java class for me. Okay, and here it turns out to be a folder structure. Then I see d artifact ID my app. So whatever name you give here, my app, your main folder will be created by that name. Okay, so if you give here Vikas, a folder with name Vikas will be created here. Then here you say d archetype artifact ID is Maven Architect quick start, means I want to quick start. You have various types here, but like web page, you are creating a JSP web page, so you put a JS web page kind of thing here. Okay, so I'll show you that also. And then what version you want to use, and d interactive mode false means I don't want you to block my screen. So let me come here, take this, put it here for time being. One second, this should be copied, copy. Okay, so I'll come here and I'll say I'm looking for Java Maven web artifact generator, something like this. That command is what I need. See here, this time the folder structure is a little bit different. Okay, but I'm looking for create an archetype descriptor. So it is asking me the description. I don't need this one. Let me come a step back. Web app archetype. This is the one. So it says if you want this kind of a folder structure where you're basically creating a web app where you need a web inf and web.xml and index.jsp. So this is basically a web page. Okay, so if you need this kind of artifact, then you come and paste this particular thing here. So if you see carefully, most of the things or almost everything will be same apart from so d archetype group id. So this will be what is changing, d archetype artifact ID. So here the archetype is Maven Archetype web app, Here it is quick start. So it is totally up to you which one you want to create. Okay, so I will take the first one. I want to create a quick start project. So let me come here and run this command. So just run this command. So it will run. And what it is trying to do is, if you see carefully, it is trying to download a lot of stuffs. A lot of stuffs will get downloaded. Why it is getting downloaded? What are these? So these are the files, or these are the stuffs which I have mentioned in my pom.xml, and it is trying to download. Basically, if you see, it is going to take a good amount of time and download lots and lots of things. So let the download happen. Meanwhile, let me just come here and look what is happening. So to understand that, I will go to Maven Architecture, ARCH. So if you come here and try to understand this stuff, this one. So this is how a Maven architecture looks like. Push it here a bit. Okay, now in the build system, the software which you install, you will have your pom.xml. You can name it as project.xml or whatever you want to. You will have all the maven.xml, and basically this is your Maven engine or the Maven actual software. But if you see here, there is something called local repository and there is something called remote repository, and this is site. Site is nothing but your local where you are working. Now if you are trying to install Maven, or you're working with Maven for the first time, it will look everything in the local repository, which can be your local machine, which can be the local repository which is maintained by your company or anything like that. So this local repository is where it will try to fetch all the dependencies. But there is a possibility that it may not find it because first time it is not there. So it will try to connect to the remote repository, which is internet, and from internet it will try to fetch everything. So for the first time when you go and install, you will see a lot of things got downloaded, lot and lot of things. But if I do the same thing again, so if I do the same thing again, or if I run the same command again, just let me change the, or let me run it again. I'm trying to run it again. Okay, this time if you see, the downloads are not happening. Okay, so see here, basically those downloads did not happen. Okay, why it did not happen? Because those contents are already present. Okay, so the first command which I ran, it gave me a folder like this. If I want to see the folder structure, I'll install a small package here which is yum install tree. So tree will show me the folder structure. So I will come here and say tree my app. So if you come here and say tree my app, you can see the same folder structure which we had seen here. Yes, the same folder structure starts with my app, then goes to Pom XML, then source, then test, main, and then this folder structure. Now, as I told you, my app.java is the place where code is there, and my app test.java where the use case or where the test cases are there. So if I say cd backslash, I want to go inside my app, cd, one second. Okay, cd backslash, just start with this my app. Inside my app, I want to go inside source, then main, then java, then com, then my company, then app. And if I go to ls-l, I can see my app.java is present here. And if I want to see what's the content of this, so I can see there is some comments, there is a package, okay, and there is a very simple program which has one class app, and it has a public void main, and this is a very simple print statement, hello world. That is all what it has, nothing apart from that. Okay, let's clear everything and come back to home directory. So currently I'm here. I will say cd and I'll come to my home directory. Now if I say pwd, I'm at root directory. And here if I say ls-l, I can see my app. Fine. So this is the basic Java project which I created. Fine. Let me come again here. I want to see my pom.xml. Where is it? So let me go inside this my app ls-l. I can see this pom.xml. So if I say cat pom.xml, it will show me the plugins, the dependencies, whatever it was having or whatever it is required, it is showing me everything. Let's clear this also. Now, when I want to work with Maven, Maven has a life cycle, means it will follow these steps. Or if I come here and want to show it to you, I will come here and say Maven Lifecycle, Maven Lifecycle. So this is Maven Lifecycle, and then it clearly calls out like who is doing what. Okay, but let's come here. So when I say validate, okay, I'm simply trying to check the syntax. But when I say compile, I'm first trying to validate and then compile. So this is the flow basically. So validate means validate the syntax, but compile means validate the syntax plus compile the code. So when I say test, it means validate the code, compile the code, and then test the code. If there are 5 programs and 5 programs are different programs, I want all of them into one package. So when I say package, I'm saying validate the codes, compile the codes, test them, and then package them. Similarly, integration testing, verify will verify is it good to be deployed. Install means it is ready to be installed. The environment where I want to install is ready to be installed, and then deploy is finally deploying it. So when I say Maven lifecycle, this is Maven lifecycle. So majorly you will do something like validate, compile. Here on top of that, you have one more phase which is called clean. So clean means, let me say I have upgraded some software and I want all the junk data which is there from the previous download should be deleted. So you say clean. So clean will delete all the this thing. So there are 21 phases in a default lifecycle, but the major ones are clean, validate, compile, test, package, and this time install and deploy. You can read through all these things, not that important, but if you want, you can just browse and you can say that what are the Maven life cycles. So I came to know that there are Maven life cycles which are available here. Can I run a Maven life cycle here? Now to run a Maven life cycle, the most important thing is whatever you want to run, you should run from the place where your pom.xml is there. So my pom.xml is inside my app folder. So I will run the Maven command from here. If I don't run my Maven command from here, let me say mvn clean, it will throw me an error saying pom not found. See here, there is no pom file in this directory. So in the directory or in the folder where you see pom file, from there only you can run the code. So I will go to my location where pom is there, and from here I will run the program mvn clean. So what mvn clean is going to do is it will clean all the junk data or all the intermediate files, all these things it is going to clean. So to clean this, whatever plugins are required, it is first downloading and then doing the work, and then it gives me a build success. So when I say clean, it's only a clean, but this time I will say mvn compile. Pom XML is created by Maven. Yeah, it is created by Maven. So when I say mvl compile, it will first validate the code. Okay, then it will start the compilation process. See here, it is trying to do validate. So it is downloading a lot of things for me because it is running for the first time. So it is pulling everything from my remote repository or the remote repo. And once all the downloads are done, it will just come here and say that. So this is first time when you will do, it will take this amount of time, but later down the line when you will do it, so all these things will be present in your local memory, so need not be worried about this. So build success is what I got, and it says when you compile your code, I have compiled your code and I have put it here in the target class. If I come here and say ls-l, I can see a new folder called target has been created. If I go inside that folder, I can see the class file or the class folder, and here I will see the same path, com, then my company, cd app, and if I go to my app class.java, I can see some random junk characters here, controls. Okay, so just come here and say cat. You can see some random things are here. So basically it's a executable, so I don't want to go inside and see what is there. Even if I want, I will not be able to. Okay, so basically this is compiling my code and creating a human machine readable artifact for me. Now I've done all these things. Maven I have done. Okay, now next what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how can I run this code. So I told there are validate, compile, test, package, and all those things. There is also clean and all those things. Now it says that if you want, you can say mvn package. So if you say mvn package, your code will be compiled and a jar file will be created for you. So just before running that, I want to show you cd ls-l. So I don't have the I don't have any jar file here till now. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm saying mvn package. So the moment I say mvn package, the first thing what it will ask me is, do you have pom.xml here? So if I say ls-l, no, pom.xml is not here. Where is pom.xml? It is here. Okay, now from here I will run mvn package. Now what it will do is it will follow this life cycle. What is this life cycle telling? What is this life cycle telling? So it says, let me come here only. So it says, first validate the code for me, then compile the code for me, then test the code for me, and then package. Okay. So when I say package, it says, fine, I have packaged your code and I have created a machine readable artifact for you, which is java.jar. So many a times you will be hearing developers saying the jar file, the jar file, jar file. So this is the executable. So if I want to run this, or first let me see where is it. So it is inside this target folder, and ls-l if I do, I can see this java jar file. So this java jar is what is going to give me the executable. This is the end result. This is the desired thing which I wanted. So if I come here and ls-l, I want to execute this. I want to see if I execute what happens. So I'll come down here and it says you can run your program like this. So if you say, let me clear this. So if you see this, it says Java CP. Okay, CP means copy the target, the jar file which you have generated, to this location, com my app. So this is my package and this is the program name. So if you do like this, it will throw you the output. So this is the output, hello world. If you remember, in my program I had written this hello world. If you change the program and you come back here again, you will see that the stuff has changed. So let me just come out of this cd and tree. Once again cd, I will say tree. So I'm interested in this part basically. So cd src main. To main I have java com. Wait, src main in java, correct only, right? cd src cd, first go inside my app, then src, then main, then my app, sorry, java com my company, then app, and this is the program app. So I'll go to change this in nano. So this is hello world. I'm going to change hello world from Maven. Okay, control X, Y, enter. So I made changes to the code. I'll say CD and I'll come back here. Then I'll go inside this particular thing and I will say MVN package. Sorry, the spelling is wrong. It will fail. MVN package. So if you see here, it is running the test cases. And then first, if you see carefully, it is trying to. So if you come here, it says I'm scanning the project. It is trying to compile the code. It is trying to run the test cases. And then finally it says the build is successful. Okay. So now what we will do is we have the artifact ready. Now this is whatever we have done. We did it manually. Everything we are coming to the console and we are doing it. But our motto is not to do all these things manually, but our motto is to do these things via Jenkins. Okay, so let me bring my Jenkins up now. Hopefully you have understood everything till this point of time. So this is my Jenkins master and this is what my Jenkins look like. Okay, I will say admin Jenkins 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what I will do now is I'll go to new item, and if you see a Maven project here, okay, it says you can build a Maven project. Jenkins take the advantage of your POM file and drastically reduces your configuration. So if you want, you can take use of this. Now if you don't see this thing, what I will suggest you is go to manage plugins, and in plugin section, go to plugin section. Go, for me it will be in available section. So if I go here and say Maven so I will be seeing this Maven Invoker. Okay, so there is a plugin called Maven Invoker. Okay, and there is also a plugin called Maven Integrator. So for you go to, sorry, Maven Integrator, my bad. So go to installed section. For me it is there. It should be there in the installed section. One second. Installed Maven Integrator will be there. Yes. See here. So I have a plugin called Maven Integration. Now, if I take this Maven Integration plugin, it says the plugin provides for better or worse a deep integration of Jenkins and Maven and automatically triggers the project depending on the snapshot. And you can also integrate your JUnit and all those things. So I have already installed this Maven Integration plugin. If it's there, well and good. If it is not there, you will go ahead and install this plugin. Once you install this plugin, you will see that when you go for a new job, you will be able to see this Maven project. If you're able to see this Maven project, you are good to start. Now what we will do is we'll configure our Jenkins so that it is able to read the programs and get my work done. So for that, I will come to my manage Jenkins. I'll go to configure system. Sorry, I should have gone here. Okay. Now here Not here, I guess. No, not here. Come one step back. Global tool configuration. Dismiss all these things. Global tool configuration. Is it opening? Yeah, it's opening. Now, if you come to global tool configuration, you'll find something called JDK. Say add JDK. Give a name to this. Any name is okay. I'll say Java Home. Do you want to install? No, I've already installed it. So I don't want to install this separately. So I will remove this. It says, where is your Java installed? So I'll come here and say, this is my Java home. Take the entire path. Come here and paste it here. The moment you paste it, will start shouting 1, 2, 3, 4. Remove this JRE thing. Now if you come here, it's perfectly okay. Means it is not telling anything to you. Okay, means this is working. Similarly, I will also go down and I will look for Maven. So I can see Maven here. Add Maven. What name? Give any name like Maven Home. Once you have this, do you want to install it automatically? No, I don't want to install it automatically. Rather, I have it. Where do you have it? I have it here. Okay, and just when you're done, you can say apply, save. Now you're all set to get your work done. So come here, save. It's a Maven project. Okay, come here and say it's a Maven project. Click on this, click on this, and you can come here and say this is my first Maven project. Now this project is expecting that the code should be there in SCM or it should be there in Git. So yes, I know how to do that in Git. So what I will do is I will go ahead and create one repository in Git and I'll push the code from here. So I'll just come here and say ls-l. So I will just say git init. Okay, so empty branch has been initialized. Then it says run these commands git global. Wait a second, I will run these commands. Okay, so I have what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my GitHub and I'm going to create a new repository there, or you can use the existing repository, no problem, but the code should be pushed there. So better I will create a new one. I'll say I want to create a new repository. I will say Jenkins my app, and I'll say it's a public repository, and I'll say please say create this repository for me. It says you have to do a git add and then git commit. But before that, I will have to run the git config command. So just let me take those commands. Config. So I will use this thing. Clear everything. So username is, and then the email. Okay, enter. So if I come here and say git config --list, I should be able to see these two things. That's it. Now, if I come here and say git status, I can see these three files are the ones which has been changed. So I can say git add dot. Then I can come here and say git status. I can see all these files are green, means these files have been changed. I will just come here and say git commit -m. new repo created. Okay, so that thing is done. Now, once this is done, I do two more things here. So git branch, I will say that main is going to be my default branch. I'm going to say add origin to this repo. And then the last command is git push -u origin main. Push it here. But before you push, you will need that token. Now I misplaced that token. So I will come here and create that API token again. So let me just come here to settings. Let me come here to this developer setting. Let me come to personal access token and let me delete this one. And this time again, I'm going to create a new token. Okay, note, I will say git token 1. Generate a token for me. So this is the token. Let me keep it somewhere. And git push. What is your username? Okay, so I can see the changes has been pushed. So if I come back here, okay, and I just now created a Jenkins my app. So if I come here, I can see some 2 minutes ago, the changes, the whatever I have changed has been pushed here. So I can take this part, copy it. Now back to my Jenkins. Here I will give my URL. If you remember, yesterday only I gave my credentials. This is there. Then let me come here. So git repository is done. And which branch you want to look in? So I want to look in main branch, not master. Then you can leave all these things. Now there is something called build trigger. So build trigger can be operated in 3 ways. One is build periodic. So build periodic means whether there is a change or there is no change, my Jenkins will go and take the code from Git and compile it. That is build periodic, whether change is there or change is not there. So it is like a daily job or a monthly job which you want to run on every month, whether there is a change, there is no change. At a backup job, like night 11 o'clock, I every day want to take a backup, that kind of a job. Or you can do a poll SCM. So poll SCM is Jenkins will go to my Git and say, is there a change? So if Jenkins, if Git response is yes, there is a change, then this will be triggered. But the best way to work is Git hook. So Git webhook or Git hook is like Jenkins will come and say, hey, Git will come and say, I have a change, take it. Okay, so you can think it like this. You have lent some $100 to someone. You keep on going on a periodic basis and saying that, give me the money. Now, you don't go on a periodic basis, but the other person who has borrowed $100 from you, he says, fine, I'm ready with the cash, come and take it from me. So this, when you do Git webhook, it is much more effective, and you rather get the intimation from Git that, hey Jenkins, come and take the latest code from me, there is a change in the code. How do we configure it? So to configure that, you have to come here, you have to come to this place, and you have to go to settings. Wait, you have to go this settings, sorry, my bad, this settings, and here you will find something called webhook. Now here, if you see, there's no webhook, so I'll add a webhook. So it says, what is your payload URL? Whom would you like to intimate? So my Git will like to intimate this guy, which is my Jenkins. Okay. Context type JSON. What's the secret? So secret you can leave as it is. I will say send me everything. Okay. And 1 second now. There is a URL for that. Git webhook Jenkins. This one. So there is a webhook kind of thing. It's okay. This is not the one. So you add GitHub hyphen webhook here. Yep, this is what I was looking at. So you say GitHub hyphen webhook backlash. Now just let me revalidate that. It is 8080 GitHub hyphen webhook hyphen. Yeah, that's it. And I will say add the webhook. Now, as of now, you see that this is yet to be confirmed. So what I will do is I'll just refresh this once. If I refresh, I see a tick here. It means the connection between my Git and my Jenkins has been established. Okay. And here I will just need to enable this Git hook, trigger the Git SCM polling. Okay. Let me come down here. If you want to delete your workspace before starting, you can use all these things. But I'm interested in build, and by default, I get this pom.xml. And using this pom.xml, I can use all the features like clean, compile, and let me say package. Okay. And post step, if you want to send an email or anything, you can just use that. Else, you can come here and say apply, save. So now what will happen? First time, it should get triggered because first time it's a new code change. Let me just come here and go to Git hook logs. Polling has not run yet. Let's see what happens. Will it poll and it will come to know that there is a change. So my job is here. Let me do one thing. Come back to my program. Let me change a small thing here. In ideal scenario, I should have pushed the code from my webhook. In my project.NET, Maven has to be configured as having, wait, I'll come to that. Wait, I've not changed anything here. Just let me go back. Let me go to source. Let me go to this location, and here I'm going to change the code a bit. I'll come here and I'll change the code. Okay, and once the change is done, I will say changes done, and I will commit to the main branch. Because I have made changes, one second. So let me come here to Jenkins. and I can see that 19 seconds ago one change was committed. Now the expectation is that this piece of Jenkins should be, see, it says started on this thing and started by an event from this guy. So who is this guy? GitHub Webhook. And it says there was a change found. So something was changed and I was intimated by this webhook. So if I come here, dashboard, I can see this Maven project is currently getting executed. See here, it is currently getting executed. Who is executing it? So if I go to my console log, it says started by a GitHub push done by Vikas 99341. It got triggered from the system. This is where I am putting everything. The recommended Git tool is none, and I'm using the Git credentials. First, I'm cloning the repository. Basically, I'm taking the code which was present in this location. I'm taking the code and I'm creating my own libraries and all, and I'm starting to compile the code. Now, this is happening for the first time on Jenkins. So it will first take the code, the latest code, whatever you have given. Okay, says first time build. Okay, then parsing the POM, because POM is something which will tell him what to do. Then in the POM, it will read that it is asking me to clean, compile, and package. And then it is downloading the dependencies whichever is needed. So first time the downloads will be there. A lot of downloads will be there. Then it says I'm recompiling the module as the changes has been detected. So compile worked, validate worked. Now down the line here, you will see the test cases ran. And then finally, it says I have built the code successfully, and this is the jar file which I have created for you. If you want, you can come to this location and you can see the entire stuff here. So inside workspace, your target, and you can see this my snapshot.jar has been created for you. Okay, so this is how you integrate everything, or probably you will integrate a Maven project with Jenkins. Any doubts, any questions till this point of time? If my project is .NET, Maven has to be configured as having .NET runtime. Yep, you'll find it on internet, Polet. So you can configure in that way also. Fine. So this is how you integrate your Maven, Jenkins, and Git together. All of them can work as one single unit, and you can take the code, start working. Okay, now back to my dashboard. Now if I come back here, I can see there are a few options which I never touched upon. So let me come here to configure. So general, you gave a description. Source code management, you know that what to write here and all those things. But here you will find an option like discard old builds. So you can come here and say that whether you want to have the old builds or not. So you can say I want to keep it for 2 days and not more than 10 builds should stay here. Because down the line, if you keep compiling the codes, the logs will keep increasing and then the memory will be in a problem. So you can discard the old builds. If it's a GitHub project, you mention the URL here. Okay. Then build requires a lockable resource in the sense, if there's a batch running and then you have a lot of jobs here and there. So some jobs may be critical for which you want your resources to be locked. So you can use this. Then the project is parameterized. So if you want to pass some parameters on the runtime environment, you can go with this. Second. Then throttle build. Now basically what happens is many a times while clicking on that build now, you might accidentally press it 2-3 times. Now if you press it 2-3 times, what happens is that the job will start running parallelly 3 times, which is not what is expected. So what you do is you say the throttle build is 1. It means even if you click 10 times, it will run once, and there is a wait time. So approximately 16 minutes between 2 builds. So within 16 minutes, 60 minutes, even if you if you click on the button 10 times, it will not run 10 times, it will run only once. Disable this project, it means you don't want to run this project anymore. So you can come and say disable this project. Then execute concurrent builds. So there is a requirement that parallelly I want to run this code. And the last one, restrict where project can run. I've already shown you in the master slave setup. Then build triggers. I talked about build periodic. Build after another project is also what I showed you in the pipeline, like upstream job, downstream job, and the policy. Again, in the build environment, it talks about workspace and all, not that required. Pre-step means before building the code if you want to do something, after building the code if you want to do something, and your build settings means what build things you want to do, and your post build actions means after your things are done, what do you want to do. So this is on the Jenkins side. So whatever we discussed today, I'll revisit everything once again. So we started with Maven. We told that Maven is a build automation tool which will build things for me, and also it will create the artifact. There are a number of activities which it can do, like validate, clean, compile, deploy. So we saw till package where the codes are getting compressed and put into one package, and this package can be transported or can be moved anywhere here and there. So down the line we will be learning Docker, so we will see how can these packages move from one location to another. Okay, then then we saw that once we are done with the entire setup in our local machine, like putting Maven, Java, and all those things, we can run it locally. But if I'm running it locally, I have to always go and set up the environment and do all those kind of work. I don't want to run it locally. I want to run it via Jenkins. So if I want to run via Jenkins, I will go to Jenkins and install a plugin called Jenkins Integrator. If I install this Jenkins Integrator, I get one additional option there where it talks about Maven Integrator or Maven project. This project will basically use my Pom.xml and do the work easily for me. Apart from that, I'll also go and configure my Maven path and Java path so that Jenkins knows where Java is, where Maven is. Once the entire setup is done, I can go and build a project. Just let me know, or let the Jenkins know where your project is, GitHub repository, which branch. Then if you want to share the credentials, you can share the credentials. And then also on top of that, you can enable webhooks. So webhooks or Git hooks are very important things which you will be using in your day-to-day life. It is like Jenkins will not go and ask Git whether there is a change or not. Other way around, Git will come saying, hey, hi, I have a change, take this change from us, like this. So this is what we have done in this entire training or entire class for today. And if you have any questions, I'll open it for questions. If not, then today we will take a small break or pause and we will close it for today. So if you have any questions, please go ahead.
So Vikas, when you have started this class, means timing?
7 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you.
So every day we start at 7 o'clock only.
No, actually I have joined in 7 2. Then you are already started, so that's why I'm asking. Like
it was like 7 only. You can like 7:01:70. That's
yes. Okay, thanks.
yeah.
I had a couple of questions on the thread. I was curious as to how long are the recordings available once this course is completed?
See, generally it should be then and there, but the tool takes its own sweet time. So I can't do anything here. This GoToMeeting generally takes 3 to 4 hours to generate the recordings, because if I go to the tool right now and if I say that I can share the recordings with you, I will not be able to, because so 2 to 3 hours is what it will take to.
Yeah, that's fine. I was curious as to how long they're available once they're posted. Like, so say this course ends like in a couple of weeks. How long do we have to watch those recordings? Are like 30 days past, or a year, or how long do they stay up?
15 days. So I'll recommend that once the link is shared with you, download the stuffs and keep it in your local or a drive, so that you can use it in future if you want.
Oh, you could actually download the recordings. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, is there I know the classes seem to be, they go a little bit over an hour each day. When is there an end date to the this course? Is there like do you know what the final date is, or?
Yeah, there will be definitely an end date to the course, but you can think like it will be a 20 days from now, because in India we have some festivals coming up, so there will be a bit of break in the continuity of the class. But then down the line, once this festival season is gone, we will be just kicking off with full pace, and 20 days from now is what we are targeting to finish everything.
20 days from now. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is a class?
No, tomorrow we have this thing here, Diwali festival here. So we will be probably not having a class tomorrow. We'll meet again on Monday, and we can have a class on Monday.
On Monday?
Yeah. So generally we don't have a class on Friday. Saturday, Sundays are week offs.
Yes. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we start from Monday again. Any questions can be posted at any point of time. I'll feel free to ask questions. The more you ask, the better you feel. So on that note, let's close it for today, and we meet tomorrow, and tomorrow in the sense next working day, and we'll continue from there. See you then, guys. Bye bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
Thanks.